You know when you're ready to.
Take it away.
Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we got a host of issues to address tonight, and I think Derek has some special guests coming on as well. So we're gonna talk to them when they get here. But first, we'll go to our host, Sir Derek Scott, who is the chair of the Scammy Democrat Party. Mr. Bill Snow, who is the great author of the book From the Project to the Boardroom. Mr. Vernon Watson, where you be watching this show on WBQP TV, Roku, Firestick, and YouTube, and of course on all of our web pages. Christine Forrest was with the DBCF, Santa Rosa County. And Jill Scott, is she coming tonight, Derek?
Jill is not going to be with us this evening.
Jill is off tonight.
But she's with us in spirit.
Yeah. So turn it back over to you, Derek.
Okay, good evening, everyone. While we're waiting on some of our guests to join us this evening, let me first start by saying thank you for joining us, being with us, and tuning in tonight. Well, as we will typically do, we will go around the table and start doing our normal host update, and I will start with you, Mr. McIntosh.
Yes. As you know, on next Thursday, we are having a town hall meeting at Greater True Vine Baptist Church. That's 130 North Pace Boulevard. And we're going to address a lot of the issues that we're going to talk about tonight, especially environmental issues, Social Security, the SNAP program, the killing of the Department of Education, just a whole host of issues that we need to address on next Thursday night. It's Thursday the 27th, at 6 o'clock p.m. at Greater True Vine Baptist Church. And then in June 20th, we are having our 28th annual Freedom is Not Free banquet, which will be at It's Personal by Shielders at on Cervantes Street at 6 o'clock p.m. And the doors open at 5:30 until 6:30 for our social hour. And then we will go into the banquet, which will start in our keynote speaker, Genesis Robinson, who has a long history of working with the community, but he's with Equal Ground. And we're going to address that more at the end of the show. Back to you, Derek.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Christina, are you on with us at the moment? If not, I will come back to Christina and move right on to Mr. Long Time. We miss him. He's back with us here for a while. Mr. Bill Snow, how are you, Bill? What do you have?
Hey, man, it's good to be back in with the family. I keep you guys in my prayers constantly. And just because I don't watch live on Sunday evenings doesn't mean that I don't watch during the run of a week. I get a chance to catch up. But yeah, I'm glad to be back in the house, back on Our Voices, the People's Media. I don't have anything that is coming up, but I am going to add that I will most definitely meet at the town hall down there with our former co-host, Dr. Isaac, Isaac down there at Greater True Vine. And Jared, man, you know I'm not gonna miss the banquet, man. I will most definitely be at the banquet, and I'm looking forward to the banquet. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you for that. Christina, welcome to us. Do you have anything for us to share this evening?
I just wanted to thank everybody who came out to the Women's History event that county. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. Cassandra McAway, as well as her special David. And so we got a little pep rally from them. And yeah, we're just pushing forward in Santa Rosa County.
Okay. Anything regarding the special election? Either of them, I guess.
Yeah, everyone, please, please, please make sure that you are registered to vote. One thing that has kind of come up is that in Santa Rosa County, for those who are waiting to vote early, which starts on March 22nd, there are only 2 locations to vote in Santa Rosa County for early voting. So it's not the same for our county as it's been in the past. We usually have 4 to 6 places you can early vote, but for the special election, we only have 2. So that's right behind the supervisor of elections office, which is right behind the McDonald's in Milton, and then the South Santa Rosa Center where you can get your driver's license in Gulf Breeze. Those are the only 2 early voting locations. And again, you can early vote beginning March 22nd.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Vernon, do you have anything for us?
No, I
Mhm. You know, I was speechless, Mr. Vernon, because I don't know that I've ever heard you sound as positive and optimistic in on any election that I know that we've been on this platform. You've been like, well, okay. So for you to say, go out and vote and we're gonna do this, we got a chance. I'm like, now let's do something. Go ahead. Yeah, I know. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. I get that. And I know you've been an advocate for voting, but like I go back to you know, the last election cycle, you didn't sound all that like, yeah, now you're like, okay, let's go. And so I'm excited to hear your excitement. It does something for me. So, that's what I'll say.
Okay.
I guess as I finish in terms of the roundtable, and then I'll introduce our wonderful guest tonight, who has been Congressional District 1, and we'll talk about it later. Couple of things. This weekend, we just had, if you didn't have an opportunity, Gabe Alamont, who is the Democratic candidate running for Congress to represent this congressional district, had when I tell you, I was surprised in the attendance, because there was almost 200 folks. There, it was at the yacht club. I'd never been to a yacht club, so that was my first time. I knew. But it was a very well attended event. She did phenomenally well, probably the best I've ever seen in any presentation. We just missed her on MSNBC maybe about 45 minutes ago. She was on Jonathan Capehart's show. So, she's getting the attention and the notoriety, which kind of lends itself into what Mr. Vernon said, is we have an opportunity to do this thing. And then, so that was a great opportunity. If you didn't get a chance to go to her town hall on Friday, that's okay, because she's having another town hall, and that is going to be, let me make sure I get the date right, so I want to say it's this Friday. I don't want to be wrong. No, and so if I said it, I would have been wrong. It's this Thursday, which is the 20th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that's going to be a Veterans Town Hall meeting they have special guests that are going to be there. So I'm not going to say who the special guest is, but certainly a good special guest. I'll say that. So you'll want to join them. It is going to be at the Pensacola Improv Event Center, which is at 375 North Pace Boulevard. It is going to be this Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So if you have not signed up, please do so. If you need to know how to sign up, you can go to her website at gayforcongress.com, and it'll direct you to how to sign up for the event, because I know capacity, of course, will be limited. So you want to make sure that you put your name on the RSVP list. Again, that's a Veterans Town Hall, which is on Thursday, March the 20th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. At the Pensacola Improv Event Center, which is 375 North Pace Boulevard. So please make every effort to attend. If you've one of the community folks that have not seen Gay, whether it's on Jonathan Capehart this afternoon on MSNBC, or live at one of her town halls, or on Sunshine's Corner, or here on this very own platform, Our Voices, it is your opportunity to see her. So I would recommend that everybody go and participate in that. Just as a reminder, as Christina said, we do have a special election here. If you are in Escambia County or Santa Rosa County, or portion of Walton that is Defuniak Springs and West, that special election is going to be April 1st. Early voting for all counties is March 22nd through 29th. If you are a person who usually votes by mail and you have not yet received a ballot, that is because your vote by mail enrollment expired on December 31st, 2024. You must renew your vote by mail registration. It is not too late to do so. You have until March the 20th to renew that vote by mail enrollment, and in order to get a ballot for the special election. You can call your supervisor of elections office in Escambia County. That telephone number is 850-595-3900. Again, that's 850-595-3900. And do you know the telephone number, Christina? And Santa Rosa County? I don't know. Something.
I do. Give me 1 second. I will have that. I was just looking at it. And their phone number is 850-983-1900. So that's 850-983-1900.
Okay, thank you for that. And if you are in Okaloosa County, you certainly can reach out to the Okaloosa County Supervisor of Elections Office. Their telephone number is 850-689-5600. Again, that telephone number is 850-689-5600. Don't let this election be decided for you. This is your time to exercise your voice through your vote. And on that note,
Hey, Derek. Before
absolutely.
you go, your guest that you're coming on, tell her I hope she's not driving. I can't put on that she's driving. Cause I can't.
She's
No, I'm not.
she's in the passenger side.
Okay,
She's
great. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So, certainly what I would, like to introduce has been our saving grace. For those of you all who remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had Phil Ayer, who came on Our Voices. If you remember, Phil ran for Congress here in this congressional district in 2018 and again in 2020. And if you recall, he has developed a new PAC, created a new PAC called the Air Force PAC, Air like his last name, EHR. And they are assisting Congressional District 1. I won't even say assisting Congressional District 1. I will say they are whipping us into shape. They are teaching us everything that we need to know. I thought that I knew what I was doing until I met Dr. Vanessa Brito, and then I realized I don't know a damn thing, right? So this lady, Vanessa, has a doctorate degree in political, is it campaigning? Is that what it is? I don't want to tell it wrong. So she is absolutely phenomenal. And so I want you guys to welcome Vanessa. So Vanessa can tell us what she's doing. Dr. Vanessa Brito, she can tell us what she's doing. We will add to that and tell us how much of a chance that we have, because I thought that was in the numbers, but she sees the numbers from a entire congressional district. She's looking at it from big picture. So welcome, Vanessa. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you, everyone. Highly of you. So, can you all hear me?
You went out for about 5 seconds.
Okay,
We got
might be the reception, but we just flew in yesterday from Miami-Dade, and we have Velma here.
I'm the driver.
she's our vice chair, but she's driving, and usually I'm either on the phone or on the computer or on the phone with Derek and yelling at someone, or being annoying. So, like Derek said, I am from Dade County. I was actually Phil's campaign manager in his last race in 2024 when he ran against Carlos Jimenez, and he did run against Matt Gaetz in 2020. And my expertise and my area of study has been traditionally non-Cuban Hispanic voters, and that is, traditional South Florida. But I was trained by the Republican Party, always having been a Democrat, and through my graduate work. So I focused in an area that's very similar to CD1. And in Miami-Dade, it's Kendall. It's an unincorporated part of the county. It used to be purple. It is now almost ruby red. It is actually like 72% Hispanic, with most of them being Cuban Republicans. So we run into very similar issues that you do here in CD1. And then we have our non-Cuban Hispanic voters and our Democrats who tend to lean a little bit more conservative and are centrist. So that is the population and the demographic that I'm used to working with. We did have a special election in our House district in 2023, and the district was an R plus 22 district, and we lost that race by 500 votes. So the question is whether or not we can do this. We can absolutely do it. And this is our once in a lifetime opportunity in CD1. And I think anybody who has seen the trends in any special election, it really does favor Democrats. We are going to see a very low turnout election, even with with the excitement that we see, but not a lot of people are going to come out. So the people that are going to come out are the people that feel motivated and mobilized. And that's where, people like Derek and the other DCs and the other counties come in. So because we understand that a special election has so many unique characteristics that really can flip the seat, we have entirely focused on CD1. So there is a special election in CD6, but we really wanted to focus on this district and help the counties, because the counties work so well together, to kind of collaborate with them and help them coordinate and build a strategic and data hub that will not only help in this election, but outlive this election and be able to help the DECs really rebuild their membership and rebuild the trust with the Democrats in their counties, because that's key, right? Like, that is part of the reason, if not the biggest reason, we lost in November. There was a lack of trust in the party. So part of what we've been doing since December has been meeting and talking to the DCs about how to fully engage their electorate, their voters, understand where they stand on the issues without imposing ideology on them, in taking that data and then being able to outreach to them in a way that they understand and that they identify with. So that is what we started in December, and some people are like, oh, you guys started too early, ballots hadn't even gone out, but we needed to. Because if we waited till the last minute, we wouldn't know how to talk to these voters. And because there are so few in the special election that are actually going to come out, we have a unique opportunity to talk to almost everybody who's going to come out and vote, right? So we have been working with the DCs and particular Derek, who really has an affinity for learning on the data side, and how to capture that data, how to properly maintain and clean that data in the platform that we use, which is called VAN, and how to be able to use that data to follow up with voters and build a database that he can share with his membership, learn from, and not make the same mistakes of the past. Because I'll give you a simple example. People talk about, and the party talks about, voter registration. Go out and register voters. Okay, so what happens after you register a voter? Do you know you forget who they are? Never go back. It's like you are wasting your volunteers' time because there is no further contact. So part of what we do is train the DCs how to okay, so you're going to register a voter, you're going to tag them in the system, you're going to follow up with them this many days later, this many months later, and you're going to ask them questions. And then you're going to remind them of every election and every method of voting that you possibly can, right? And you're going to be able to look back at this data 1 year later and say, okay, this is how Precinct 68 felt about, immigration, or the cost of living, and you know how to message, and you know how to tell your voters and your members how to talk to folks. So that is essentially the foundation of what we are doing. And obviously using that system to motivate folks to come out for April 1st. So with that, we've been doing automatic dialers and setting the DCs up on phone banking, whether it's virtual phone banking, dialers, teaching them how to do texting, mass texting, teaching them how to cut turf and follow up and being able to monitor that turf. So turf is like canvassing, knocking on doors, how to cut maps and be able to distribute that to members so that they can knock on doors and really maximize their time and be able to target voters the way that they're supposed to be targeted for this special election, right? Because the way you target for a special election, again, is very different than the way you would target for a presidential or a mid-year. And right now we have very unique circumstances. We have Republicans that are upset with what's going on. We have a district that cannot, that even the DCs cannot really or fully push ideology. We have to focus on issues and we have to focus on pocketbook issues. And we have a candidate who we also have to push, but within the boundaries of those issues and the limitations of those issues. Because if you escape that or you go around that, then you start to really lose the voters, right? And sadly, and like it is in many parts of Florida right now, and I can tell you Dade County is one of them, we cannot win without NPA voters in District 1, not in Escambia, not in Okaloosa, not in Santa Rosa, and certainly not in Walton. Okay, even if Gaye Valamont were to get every single Democratic vote, she would still lose if she did not capture a significant portion of the NPA vote. So part of what we have also been doing, and this is also a call to action to everybody here, is talking to NPA voters who we have projected or estimated are left-leaning, right? And left-leaning as in sort of how we talk to centrist Democrats, right? To try to mobilize them and motivate them to come out. And if we don't do that, and that is really our core, really, I think that is the core of what we are doing right now. That is where we are investing a lot of our efforts as a PAC so that the DCs can fully focus on the base, because the DCs, people like, you know, Derek and Steve from Okaloosa, Christina, have to focus on re-engaging their base and keeping their base. We can't even say they're loyal. We need to establish that trust first, right? So we can't distract the DCs from their base. So we establish this PAC to be able to help them and support them while they focus their efforts on the people who really matter to them. So to give you some semblance of hope, because the numbers do not look bad right now in terms of vote by mail returns. Last week, Derek, I think we were at a 2,000 ballot gap between Republicans and Democrats leading in Escambia. Today, and we'll see where we are tomorrow, I'm hoping this has gotten smaller, but today we're at an 800 ballot gap. In 2024, there were 4,000 more Republican ballots than there were Democrats. That's not going to happen this time. And I think if we continue the aggressive outreach that we have been doing, we are dialing, we are texting, we are knocking, we are emailing. I mean, and we are focusing on these voters. There is not one voter that we have touched no less than 3 times in some way, shape, or form. Right. So the last I looked, I think we had done about 20,000 touches in Escambia. And that does not include postcarding and emails and things like that. So it is working. And if we push a little bit harder with the DCs and we support them in terms of getting those Democrats out, there are 4,000 Democratic ballots still unreturned in Escambia County. There are more than there are Republicans. If we get at least half of those back, Gaye has a real shot at this. And NPAs are turning out. We are at about, Escambia is like, I think at 39% of the ballots returned are Democrat and almost 12% are NPA. If we can stay around that threshold, keep it at 40 and 12%, and we can suppress the Republican turnout, we will be in good shape. But that means that we need to continue to push into early voting, because we know that if we stop, they will lie, they will knock on doors, and they will get their people out. So we cannot, let up now. So I think, Derek, that's where I start asking, please, please, please help us make calls. It does work. It does work. I promise you. I know everybody hates making calls. I know everybody hates doing all the stuff and getting hung up on and having difficult conversations. But I promise you, some of these folks have buyer's remorse. Some of them feel terrible and shameful and shame. They feel so much shame for having sat out the 2024 election. And there are other folks that are just so angry, and anger really can drive people to the polls, right? And as a Democrat, and everybody on this call, if you are angry, use that anger, channel that anger to motivate folks to come out, because we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow, and we don't know if we're going to continue to have elections at the way that things are going. So we cannot afford to sit anything out anymore. So I do ask that you take kind of what you hear from the media and what you hear from consultants and, leadership. This is a ruby red area. It's impossible to flip. Nothing is impossible to flip. In a special election, it's in our favor. If I could show you the numbers now, I would. Every day I bother these folks with numbers, and I know it's a lot, and I'm aggressive and I'm annoying, and I only do it because I see that there is an absolute chance that we can do this, and that we can give these people a run for their money.
Yeah. I want to say, certainly, you don't annoy me. I welcome it. Like, for those of you all watching, I think Vanessa makes a good point. If you can get involved and get engaged, we do the phone calls. She talked about them being difficult phone calls. Like, more than I hate knocking doors, I hate phone calls, right? But these phone calls aren't that difficult. You just sit and literally wait for somebody to answer the phone. Because you're just sitting in a queue, and then once somebody pops up, then you start talking. They're very simple to do, and they don't take much time at all. The more you have doing, we can get through. Like, we did the calls on Friday, and we had about 15 or so people. We made over 600 phone calls. So it's very easy to do. And I think I will say, go ahead.
I think one thing, and I consider this maybe one of the most important, is why we're here. Why are these two girls from Miami, in the Panhandle driving around, and how is Phil involved? And I'll tell you, after Phil ran last year, we saw a lot of the deficiencies within the party, and it almost feels paralyzing when you see that we have amazing people that, like Derek, like all of you, that are doing the work on the ground, but somehow there's a disconnect between the worker bees and the leadership bees, right? And we get stuck in that bureaucracy, and that red tape and all that nonsense. So, and it is discouraging to feel like you can't, like, you want to do more, but there's no path forward. So our only option at that point was either keep complaining or find another way to do the work. And this is the way we do the work. So, Derek will tell you, one of our biggest motivators has been, let's fundraise money so that we can cover the cost of these things, because texting, dialing, emailing, all of that costs money, so that the DCs don't have to spend their own money, and they can, so they're getting all the tools, all the resources, everything for free, what the party, needs in order to be able to be successful on the ground. And we fundraise the money for them, right? So, and I think that's an important component that, we didn't discuss, because money is a factor in every single race. And the fact that the DCs, we know that DCs have a really hard time raising money. So we use people like Phil, who really care and have a name in the community and that people respect, to help do that for them. And I hope that this isn't the first, that we aren't the first that we aren't the last organization to do this, and that there are others that step up and say, okay, maybe if we all give a little, right, we can somehow bring this party back together. So that is really our hope, right? And we're not going anywhere after the special election, but we are hoping to be able to work with other DCs and be able to do the same thing, and hope that they feel empowered, that they don't have to wait. Nobody's going to come save us. This is all on us, but we all have to figure out how to, what is your talent, his talent, their talent, and where can we uplift each other and amplify each other's efforts and do it strategically and efficiently, so that we can look back from 5 years from now and be like, damn, we've come a long way,
So in the past they're saying low turnout. Do it disfavor us, or do higher turnout favor us more?
So higher turnout in a special election favors us more. But in this case, because the number of Republicans is so much higher than Democrats, low turnout is actually what we want. The lower the turnout, the better, because that gives us an opportunity to mobilize more MPAs and as many hard Democrats as we can. So we really do want, and the Republicans probably feel, they know that it's the same thing. That's why there isn't you don't see a lot of what is being done in terms of boots on the ground being publicized on the Republican side. And we've been very careful about what we put out, other than, our public phone banks, but we don't put out like who we're calling, when we're calling them, why we're calling them. I know a lot of DCs do that in their communities, and that is a big mistake, because you're really giving the other side an opportunity to see what it is. You're giving them all your cards. But that is the reason nobody's really talking about the special election, other than to their target voters, because you want turnout to be low.
Dr. Brito, I have a comment here from our Facebook stream guy from Jacksonville, Florida. After that, I'd like to ask you a question. He says, good evening, everyone. Here in Duval County, we elected Democratic Mayor Donna Deegan, so we have kind of begun sending more outreach around the county of Duval, because we feel like there's fertile ground in Northeast Florida to continue to reach Democrats, but also reach independent and some Republicans who may have regrets now that since they voted for Trump. But my question was, early on, you said that you were Republican trained. I hope that means what I think it means, because they have truly been out strategizing us, especially in the last election. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for me, please?
Yeah. So I worked at the university where I got my degree at Florida International University. And my mentor, my professor, was also my boss, was a consultant for the Republican Party of Florida. And so we did a lot of work together. And it was interesting to have worked. I always worked as a Democrat very openly. Interestingly enough, back then, I was embraced by the members of the legislature and things like that. And but my focus, as my area of concentration is econometrics, it's statistics. So I was focused more on public opinion polling and research. And yes, you're right. So, Republicans developed a vote by mail machine. That's another area of where I'm annoying to everybody. Like, guys, we have to start chasing. We can, and there is a system that they developed that works very well. That is why they used to win every vote by mail. Candidates, if they won vote by mail, you knew you knew they won. we need to develop that same type of system. We need to be able to strategize efficiently and get away from the silos that we work in. And it has to be solely about the win. We need to run like Republicans and win like Democrats. That is how we do it. And that is just, it is just, Republicans have in the past, not so much anymore, but they do, that's still part of their culture in terms of campaign management. It's very academically driven. It's very data driven. They have better access to data. They have more efficient platforms, more user-friendly platforms, and they do have academically trained consultants that are very different than the Democratic consultants. So that is where they have the upper hand. That is why I always say we as Democrats need to take a talent inventory. There are so many of us that have so many skills, many who are educated, who have been sort of sidelined from the party, by this elitist class. And yet you have professionals who know how to do these things, to do the work, and they're willing to do it for the most part for free, and
Why do
get
you
us
think
to
we
a
lag?
point.
Why do you think we lag so far behind in strategizing when they give us so much ammunition to just falter on it?
I think it comes back to there is this elitist culture in the Democratic Party. We have completely lost touch with the middle class and the mainstream voter, right? So we have been focused on so many. I don't want to say like social issues, but in part that is part of the problem. But we have lost touch with our core voter. Right. And we have been working to try to make small pockets of people happy instead of trying to make our communities, and starting at the local level, a little bit better and more livable and more sustainable. We stopped talking about term limits. We stopped talking about affordable housing. We stopped talking about sustainability. We stopped talking about all those issues. And we gave it to the Republicans, and we started focusing on all the things that to mainstream voters don't affect their daily lives.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it is about direct impact. And that I said it earlier, when people are angry, they vote. And people love voters, especially voters who are loyalists to their party. They love to vote against something. Voters will, other than these Trump voters, because they're different,
That's a different breed.
but different breed. But give a voter something to be upset about, and they will come out to the polls. That is why recall elections, for example, garner so much turnout, and because people are angry, people want to prove and show that they have a voice, and they are pissed, right? So we have failed at making people upset. We have failed at making people upset about the right things. People are not upset about the issues that we've been talking about for years, right? So in the interim, Republicans have gone door to door early, okay, even during the off year, telling lies and telling people, oh, these people are communists, these people want open borders. And you're convincing folks that we abandoned, that we are terrible. And we have not been there to defend ourselves, because if we were knocking doors at the same time, I guarantee you those people would be like, hey, are you really for open borders? But you hear it for years.
There's no pushback.
And then there comes a Democrat during an election year. You're not going to believe them. You're going to believe the person. You're going to believe the liar who knocked on your door 3, 4, 5 times. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's just voting behavior. That's psychology. That is how it is human. And that's why I never blame the voter. Right. I blame the folks at the top.
I do too.
So it's like, do you want to win for yourself, or do you want to win for this country, for your community? That's the choice you need to make. And if you're in leadership and you want to win for yourself, then run for office. But let the people who work run the party, or save it at this point.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly because I really do believe that we find ourselves on the defense all of the time. When they are doing all of what it takes to win, finding out where the voters are, what they need, and how to
Yep.
win, and we are on our heels answering to their rhetoric instead of putting. We could run on their records and do a whole lot better, but we don't. So I agree
Exactly.
with everything you said, ma'am.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. It seems to be some tension between the House and the Senate right now. And do you think Chuck Schumer made the right choice by, and if you can answer this if you want to or not. But
Do you want my personal opinion? Because my personal opinion is that we're at a point where we're not playing by the rules anymore. There are no rules, and we have to, like I said, we need to take risks, right? And it's not even a risk. It's, you want to send a message. It's not by going to a protest or whining at at a party or at an event. It's do something tangible that is going to affect lives. I guarantee you, if there was a government shutdown, and I know there's a lot, this is very taboo, and I'm sure many people disagree with me, but you need to show that you are willing to go as far as they are to save the country, because they've gone this far to destroy it.
Right, I was thinking the same thing. I thought it was, political cowardice to to capitulate to the Republican Party at this time, because people need to see that there are people fighting for their interests as the other side is fighting for the other side's interests.
Yeah.
It seemed that there is a lack of will. I guess that took place in the Senate, for as is concerned, and it, I know I'm not young, but I know maybe it might be some issues, between him and the younger generation. You're not really seems to me that it should be more, communication. I would say between him and the young to see where the rest of the Senate was at. So
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think that we have a choice anymore. I think we have to make it is a difficult decision, but I think that the backlash of taking those risks there's no comparison to just backing down and acquiescing to the Republicans. I mean, I just it's a detriment to our country at this point. So
exactly, especially when people are trying to dismantle the very government and turn into a totalitarian
exactly.
system. Okay.
I mean, I think, and part of it is that there is a lot of distraction. So it's almost like the GOP creates a diversion, and then here comes the weekend and they make all these decisions while people are distracted doing other things. And then during the week, when it does come out, whatever they did on the weekend comes out in the news is clouded by all the craziness that they come up with. Half of the things won't pass muster, and half of the things are just rhetoric, but not tangible or actionable items. And the other things are actually happening, and everybody's kind of, dispersed. So it is this information war, and sadly, we have to fight back with the same intensity in the same way. We are no longer in that place of, we got to do the right thing and we have to be diplomatic. Like, no, we're at war.
Exactly. Christine, did you have something?
No, I'm just sincerely grateful for all the work. I know Jill Lewis Daggs isn't here today, but there was a county seat that was just flipped in her district, and I gotta tell you that is so much due to your work and your efforts, and I'm just very, very grateful.
Thank you. I think I thank you, Christina. I think that the seat in Okaloosa, there were many things that went into that Debbie winning that seat. Amongst them, doing what I would tell any candidate that I ever meet is don't make your first run your last run. When you choose public service, you make an investment, and it's a lifetime investment, right? So you have to, if you really want this and you really care about people, then it shouldn't be about the win. And just like when you're getting a degree, you have to take courses, and sometimes you do better in one than the other, and it takes time. And sometimes you run once, twice, and you can't let anything distract you from that goal, right? So I think that was one thing that Debbie had going for her. And I also think that in local elections, and this is, one of the things that we talk to the DCs about all the time, is that in local elections, you can really talk to the mainstream voter in the most, probably in a way that resonates the best, right? That is where you start to change hearts and minds, because that is where you have the most direct impact on a person's daily life. So that, when we're talking about congressional races, and this is a special case, right? It's a special election, and all the circumstances that are in the country right now, but local races are where we really should be investing the most time and money, right? So if you build from the bottom up, all right, then that means you are actually transforming your base and building a loyal base. And also, it isn't about changing or having NPAs convert to Democrats. It's about letting NPAs know that we are on their side, that we are on the right side of history, that we are the ones that are protecting their safety net programs, that we are the ones that are worried about the cost of living and rent control. We are the ones that care about their issues, right? Which tend to be pocketbook issues. So we're not trying to change people's partisanship or ideology, but we are trying to connect with them and remind them that we are at the core of the working class, that we are there to protect their interests, and that starts local. What better way?
I continue to say to people, I think to Christina's point, when we listen to folks who know what they're talking about, it turns out well. Like with Debbie Riley over in Okaloosa County, taking a seat that was historically Republican and making it a Democratic seat. Well, I guess technically it's not partisan, but she's a Democrat. So, I'll be the first person to say, and I talked to Vanessa about it. We did a list of what our targeted precincts were we were going to do. I was like, okay, well, Vanessa, we typically do these. It's like, oh, let's look at it. We'll do an analysis and come up with the list, right? And so when they came up with the list, I looked and I was like, what the hell are these precincts? These are not anywhere that I would have ever picked. But, from that, I appreciate the methodology and the data. I'm glad that she is here. And those precincts have proven to be like gems. I mean, we've been out in precincts that people like you guys today, they say, you guys never come out here. So thank you for coming out. And I'm like, right? I was like, see, Vanessa, you know what you're talking about. Like, I knew she knew. But like it's evidence in the reception that we're getting when we're knocking on these doors. We knocked today, and we had, in terms of our volunteers, we probably had the best turnout that we've had, with almost 20 folks knocking doors who came out to knock doors on a Sunday. So I was like, hallelujah, I can't be more happy, So we're doing the work. We've got folks that know what they're doing, and I feel like now. If I could convince Vanessa and Velma and Mateo to move to Northwest Florida, I'm not sure what the offer has to look like. I'm still trying to figure that out.
I mean, I'll tell you, the culture is better up here than it is in Miami-Dade. You would think in Miami-Dade that there's, a collaboration, and this does not exist in Miami-Dade. It's actually what drove us to create the PAC. And the counties in South Florida, though they should, because our congressional districts, just like you, encompass various counties, should be working together, because consistency is key, right? And that is part of what we know the Republicans have done well. It doesn't matter what is happening. It doesn't matter that so-and-so is a pedophile. It doesn't matter that his wife is also a pedophile. It doesn't matter that, that their neighbors are pedophiles. What matters is that, they are doing X, Y, and Z. And that is what they stick with. No matter what, they could be in jail. We know this. Doesn't matter. They stick to one thing and they're consistent, right? So consistency is key. And that is definitely for somebody like Gay, who's running, along 4 counties, it is essential that consistency is there. Of course, there are nuances within different demographic groups that you want to focus on, right? And you adapt that message. But that is part of why coordination and collaboration is so important. Right. And working in silos is such a terrible thing. And it's been traditionally one of the biggest detriments to our party. Right. So it has been a pleasure working in the Panhandle. And trust me, I don't have a ticket back. So we'll see.
So we're happy to have them. They'll be here for a while, so I want to say thank you, Vanessa, for joining us. I know you have to get inside, and at least I would be anxious to try to get inside in that wonderful place that you all are staying. So I will say good luck. Don't forget, I got a message from Gwen to say if you could do precinct 69 stuff for her.
Oh yes, for tomorrow. Yes, I will. Yeah.
Derek, make sure that to let her know that she can come back anytime.
Yeah, well, look, we're trying to. I don't know why you saying come back anytime. We're the plan is if we can be nice enough and do all this stuff that they will just stay. That's the thing.
But ideally, listen, ask me, talk to your people and ask me questions like, hey, I live in this precinct. What does it look like? That is where I thrive. Derek knows. Ask me a question that requires me to sit behind a computer and give you a full picture and analyze voters and analyze their pattern and their voting patterns. That is where I'm happy. So I am happy to do that for as many people as is needed, whether they're part of the DC, whether they're not, whether they're Democrats or NPAs, I don't care. Everybody, knowledge is power. And if we all know if we have a better understanding of what our neighborhoods look like, then we have a better, we have a more likely path to victory, I think. And, we have a way to move forward.
Yeah. I will say, even if we're unable or unsuccessful in convincing her, I think the wonderful thing about Vanessa is that she has taught us all I won't say a quarter of the stuff. I'll say a 10 of the stuff that she knows. And that 10th of the stuff that she knows for me is 90% of what I didn't know. Right. So it's kind of, for me, I feel like now I can do things with a little bit more confidence. I have a little bit more understanding of how to cut turfs. I couldn't do any of this stuff before Vanessa. I couldn't score or learn how to target. None of this stuff I knew. It's just okay, let's take the 10 largest precincts and that's what we're doing, which may work, but may not necessarily always work. If we continue to do the thing that we've always done, we'll continue to get the same result that we've always got.
Exactly. Right.
So and then we're doing things very different.
Yeah, and it helps your members and the volunteers too, because you're really maximizing on their time. The most valuable thing that the Democrats have are people's time. And one thing I learned in school and in my first years of campaign work is if somebody offers help, take it. Take it. because that means somebody cares about some fraction of what you're doing for whatever reason. So let them find or hone in their passion, right? But if they're going to do that and they're going to invest their time and they're going to give up time with their kids and their family, you better make sure that you're not wasting their time. And that means that you're keeping the data that you're collecting, but you're also talking to the right people in the right way, you know?
And we have someone that can help us with our Spanish speaking voters, which we've never had before.
Así es.
So certainly, Vanessa, Velma, I thank you, and Mateo, hey Mateo. I thank you guys for joining us. Hey Mateo, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Velma, for spending time. Get some rest because we're calling you bright and early in the morning. Don't think that you're getting off that easily. So
I'm a 4-year-old. I'll be up. Don't worry.
So we appreciate you joining us this evening.
No, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
all for
Thank you.
putting up
Welcome,
with all of my talking, and thank you, Derek, for everything.
Thank you.
Thank
You're the
you, guys.
best. Bye.
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 Wow.
Yeah. So yes.
Go ahead, Byron.
What is that? Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've invited, and I hope he'll be able to join us shortly. Dr. BJ Brunius. Dr. BJ is my counterpart, who is the chair of Santa Rosa County. So I'm hoping that he will be joining us shortly. But like I think to the point of what Vanessa was saying, they have certainly challenged us into doing things, looking at how we do things, as a DEC. I'm forever grateful for them. I've talked to them. I think I've talked to them more frequently than I've talked to anybody else, quite frankly. And I was excited. I was like, when are you coming? Y'all are going to be here. You're here. They were here yesterday, but the storm, certainly got in the way. So we're like, okay, today, but with them, I think to your point, we have to do things very differently. We have to look at folks that we traditionally have not looked at, and we have to stop discounting some of our voters or assuming that they're just going to vote for us because, they're Black or because they're Democrat or because they've always voted. So, we have to actually earn their vote and talk to them about the vote. So I'm happy that we've done so. I'll use, oh Lord, wow, just forget his name. I lost it just that fast.
Phil Air?
Adoration. No, adoration. Lord. What is his name? It's driving me nuts.
The Church of Adoration, the pastor.
What's the pastor? Marcel Davis.
Marcel Davis.
Marcel Davis, yes. I was like, it's coming, but I lost it. Like, one of the things he talked about, and when he was working, when he thought about running for Congress, if you recall, he joined us and he had talked about, we hadn't done a good job of touching people in Myrtle Grove and touching people in Brownsville. And, I was like, that's a fair point. He was actually valid in that point. And even to this point, we've gotten now, where are we? We're in Precinct 3, which is Myrtle Grove. We are talking to folks in Myrtle Grove, something that we have not done historically. We're also talking to people in Bellevue, something that we just don't typically do historically, So we're reaching out. We've got people even as far out as Perdido Key. I mean, you name it. We've got folks in Warrington that are reaching out. So we're all over the place. I want to take a moment to introduce Dr. BJ Brunius. Dr. BJ Brunius is my counterpart, the chair of the Santa Rosa County Democratic Party. And I'm sure he is out doing many of things similar like we are. But he, in this other time, he actually doctors. He's an emergency room doctor. Welcome, BJ. Thank you for joining us. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, we.
Yeah, I'm doing good. As Derek said, I am his counterpart in Santa Rosa County. So we sort of have the same roles. And I try and live up to him because he's been doing this for some time. And so the learning curve is steep, but I just assumed this role earlier in the year. So yeah, but I think I work with Christina as well. Christina and I know each other very well. And I think the good thing about the coalition that we're building is that we're sort of realizing that we're all in this together, and that it's very important in order for us to move this part of the state, move the needle forward, that we have to be a multiracial, multi-class, multi-opinionated coalition, and we're all using our skills and talents as well as our treasure to try and move the ball forward and get some change in this area.
What are your thoughts? What are you seeing in Santa Rosa? How are voters responding to you and canvassing? What's that look like?
So, I mean, unfortunately, we're still finding a lot of voters who still don't know that there's a special election. So that's the unfortunate part. And for most of us that are really tuned into this and breathe this day in and day out, we're like, how could you not know? Are you living underneath a rock? But the fact is that people just don't know. So we got to do the work of educating, and I saw you guys had Vanessa on earlier, and so she's really helping us come up with all the different ways and all the different tools that we have at our disposal in order to get the word out that there is a special election. There's no such thing as off-year elections. Every election is important, and to try and keep that engagement going even when it's not, the big presidentials. And so, yeah, that's what we're seeing at the doors. But the other thing that we're noticing is that people are happy to see us. And so that's a good thing, that maybe they didn't know an election was coming up, but they're certainly happy that there are people out there. Every door I've knocked on has been a warm reception. I haven't had anyone who has not been happy that I've been at their door, if they're a Democrat. But there's that caveat. But yeah, most of reception has been great. People who answer the phones have been, great to hear that, that there are people out there reaching out and letting them know that there are Democrats that exist, even in Ruby Red, Santa Rosa County.
What is the conversation like when you do run across people that are not Democrats? How do you deal with that one?
So we got some training on how to deal with people who are not Democrats. And to be clear, when we're sending out people to knock on doors, usually if a non-Democrat answers the door is because the person who we're supposed to be reaching ain't there. So either they've moved, or maybe it's a Democratic wife whose, husband didn't know that she was a Democrat, and now we didn't just outed her. And so that can happen sometimes, or other times is, believe it or not, people don't know that their kids are registered as Democrats. And so sometimes we can run into that issue where the parents answer the door and we're looking for, we're actually there in order to encourage, their 18-year-old or older child to vote. But, I don't engage with them. I don't argue with them. I'm not doing a lot of convincing, particularly for this election. It's just, okay, you don't want to be involved, or you don't want to vote, or you're a Republican. I'm moving on to the next door. So there's not really conversations that are happening in that moment, particularly with door knocking. I'm pretty sure persuasive conversations are going to happen later. They're just not for this particular election. This is a turnout based election. This is not really a persuasive thing that we're doing, at least in Santa Rosa County. We're just trying to mobilize our base to get out. If you voted in the past and you voted for a Democrat, we want you to get out and vote again.
Good. Go ahead, Derek.
What, for our viewers in Santa Rosa County, how could they help? What do you need from them? What is your ask?
So we have a few asks. Obviously, there's more doors to knock on. So if you have the personality where you don't mind going and knocking on doors, we're only sending you to friendly faces. So if that's your thing, we have a role for you there. We also have several phone banking links. So if you want to make phone calls to encourage people to either turn in their vote by mail ballot that they've received, or enroll in vote by mail, or if they don't want to do that, early vote starting March the 22nd. So there's several links that have been given to us so graciously by Vanessa and the Air Pack in order to help us reach out to voters, veterans, people who vote, who are super voters. You can do that as well. We also have postcarding. If people are sort of introverted, they don't really like talking to strangers on the phone, they don't really want to knock on doors, or they're not able-bodied to be able to do that, we also have a postcarding opportunity. And so you can reach out to SantaRosaDemocrats.org, sign up to be on the postcarding committee, and then we can get you on one of our postcard parties as well.
And the precincts over there, is it hard getting people to be precinct captains?
It's hard getting people to be anything. If I'm being honest, people are tuned out, but it's changing. I want to say that it's changing, and so there are people who are reaching out to say, hey, I didn't know you all existed. I want to get involved. I don't really know how. And so we're starting to see a lot of that. But, we're outnumbered in Santa Rosa County almost, 3-1, Christina? Maybe even more. Yeah, maybe 3-1.
3-1, 3-1 or 4-1, depending on the day.
Yeah. So we are outnumbered. But I feel like we have the momentum on our side. And I'm a fan of Scandal. I don't know if y'all ever remember that show, but that was my show. I lived and died for that show, right? So it's all about taking what is perceived as your weakness and using it to be your strength. So every episode is sort of written around what is the weakness that we think is going to kill the particular administration or take them down, and how the main character, played by Kerry Washington, she uses that weakness, turns it into a strength in order to, get to the good, happy ending of each episode. And so I truly believe that what Republicans perceive as our weakness is actually our strength, because their hubris is very, very strong out here. They don't think they have to do anything. They don't think that they have to work. And so that pushes us to actually be in a position of what I feel as though is powerful, because while they're doing nothing, we're actually mobilizing, we're engaging, and we're trying to activate as many people as possible.
What's the actual temperature over there as far as what's happening with the news, this administration, not even 100 days in, tariff wars? What do you hear? What's the temperature as far as not necessarily Democrats? we know. Just are you hearing anything, Doc, as far as how people are truly feeling dismayed, discontentment?
So, the emoji that goes like this. That's what I'm getting. So they're not quite to the point where they're willing to abandon that orange mango, whatever he is, bloated yam. They're not ready yet, but they are doing the, what is he doing? This is not really what I thought how it was going to go down. So, and I'm captivating on that. So anytime I get the shrug, like something's not right, I don't do I told you so. I think I told you so a lot. I think it a lot. But what I realize is that telling people I told you so is just not, it ain't
No.
gonna move nothing. It's very cathartic. It may make you feel good, but it ain't gonna move people.
That's right.
So I try to engage and meet people where they are and try and say, this is sort of not what we expected, right? Although I'm thinking this is absolutely what we expected.
Worse.
Right. So, but yeah, I don't know if they're ready to make the turn yet. I certainly wouldn't testify to that, and I wouldn't bet no money on that yet. But I would say that people are not quite happy with what they're seeing so far. We're not even 2 months in, so 100 days from now that could change. 6 months from now that could change. Who knows?
Jill, good evening.
Go ahead.
It's good to see everybody. Thank you so much, and I apologize for not being available until now. BJ, it's always great to see. Dr. Brunios, it's so great to see you. Better known to us as BJ. Love you so much. And Bill, I haven't seen you in forever.
I've been seeing you guys.
I know you get to see us. We don't get to see you until everybody else that's on the show. It's good to see all of you, Jerry, Christina, Derek, of course, Vernon. And I see Cheryl's here, but not quite on the screen right now. So just glad to be here. BJ, I do like your descriptive way of what we're walking through and what we're living through. You make it seem kind of like we're not going to tell you I told you so. We just have to kind of sit back and
Think it.
I don't think we're faking it. We're just, you just listen.
No,
It's
thinking.
kind of like,
Thinking. He says he thinks. He doesn't say it, but he thinks.
Right. Oh, you said think it. Yes. Think it. And then just kind of sit back and let them one at a time. Oh, they're taking your veterans benefits. Oh, they're going to take your Social Security and your Medicare away. Oh, they're going to make your egg prices go up. Oh, the gas prices are going up. Oh, your rent prices are going up. Oh, they're going to close down the education. You know what I mean? Just enough eventually it's going to touch everybody. And then it's going to be, what do you do?
I think BJ has a good thing. I'll say for me, it's much harder to just think it, because when I think it comes across in my face, right?
I know what you mean.
And so it's one of those, and by that time I'm like, well, I might as well just say it because my face is set up for me, right? And I it's hard because we do get those phone calls. I know in our office we get them from people who come in who are Republicans or who call and say, look, I voted for him, but I didn't know it was going to be all this. This is surprising. And my very first thought was like, the hell it is surprising. Veterans/reduction of veterans benefit. That was page 746 in Project 2025. These mandated Social Security, the reduction, that was page 832. Like, I don't know why you're surprised, because he gave you a 900+ page document called Project 2025 that outlined his entire agenda. And might I add, they're halfway through it already, the things for Project 2025. So it's hard to even say, like, because I get frustrated. And then the next question is, so what are you all going to do? And I'm always like, I did what I was supposed to do. What you gonna do? I voted correctly. You're the one that voted incorrectly. So what are you going to do, right? But instead of saying it, my way of saying is, well, the most important protest that you can do is on April the 1st, when you vote for Gabe Alamont to turn this ship around. That's as best as I got it, because otherwise I get frustrated. I'm like, what the hell you mean? What am I going to do? You created the problem. Why are you looking to me to fix it, right? What exactly are you going to do? So let's hope enough people are in the what are you going to do? Or I'm frustrated, but I don't know if we're seeing. I think this election will be the determining factor of whether or not people are fed up.
So you think it might be enough disaffected Republicans out there that could make a difference in this?
No.
You don't think
I
it's
mean,
enough?
there
No.
could be, but I think it's more, you have to look at historical Democrats first.
Well,
So are the Democrats going to go vote? Not the diehard ones that always do, but those that were knocking on your doors and were saying, hey, you might not traditionally vote, but this really is. If you don't this time, this is the last time. If they go out and they vote, then you can worry about whether Republicans and MPAs are going to, because even if the MPAs and the Republicans turn out and flip for her, if she doesn't get the base, it doesn't matter. And the base is not the normal base like your people who normally vote. It's everybody. Every single Democrat needs to feel, understand, and leave your couch and your house, or get a vote by mail and just walk to the mailbox. But you still have to leave your comfort zone, and you can't just talk about it and complain about it. You have to do something. And the do something is what Derek and everybody is saying, and that's go vote. March 22nd through the 29th, April 1st, early voting, do something. But I also wanted to say, Derek, you told us that story. I know you guys are glad I'm on here for just this reason. So you told us that story, and the first thing I thought was, that's why BJ's the doctor, because doctors come in and they put a smile on your face even when they're about to tell you something's wrong. You like, it's broken, is it? No, let me go over with you. You know, they try to make it. So that's BJ. BJ's being Dr. BJ. And then I thought it was interesting that you said you were on the phone and you had a hard time not saying to them, they can't see your face. So you really could.
You know,
you went through that whole story and they aren't even in front of you.
No, but we do have people who come in and do it. So
no, I'm just saying the story you told they weren't. I know you have people that come in.
But you know,
but I thought that was funny that you were like, nah, it's just like you're in front of me. Like you need to see my face. And even if you forget, I'm telling you, this is your fault.
Because even on the phone, I'm like, I'm sorry, what you mean? Oh, well, okay, well, maybe. And then I have to dial it back. Like, okay, never. What you mean isn't the right approach, right? Because I need you to be on my side. So how do I get you on my side? Where's my skinning and grinning that comes out so I can make you feel like you're going to go for Democrat is the right thing to do. You know, it's tough.
You guys are all better than me, because I'll be like, mother, no, then I have to dial it back. Like y'all know what it is. You already know what it is, man.
No, but I was trying to be politically correct for the show. Like, I don't really mean what you mean. It is more of the, or I use a lot of M's and a lot of B's, and you know, it's like, whew, okay, all right.
You have to catch yourself, man.
I do.
We went through the town halls, the forums, the Project 2025 forums. We talked about it. We put it out there. We begged, we pleaded, we did all of what we were supposed to do, and we voted right. So for them to now be bellyaching and looking crazy, and since they didn't think it was going to affect them, it was just going to affect us. Since they didn't, now it's affecting them. What are we gonna do? You hit the nail on the head, man. We did what we were supposed to do. But now you got a chance April 1, though, leading up to it.
Yeah. And it's trying to convince as many people as we can. Plus,
and they're still not dismayed enough, because 22nd through the 1st, they're still going to vote wrong.
Well, let's hope not.
Well, we had some good news. We had some good news from Dr. Brito. Trending as far as the early mail votes. Jill, you missed some great stats there last week. You heard them?
I didn't hear them, but I'm aware of them. Yes. And I'm glad that they shared them. So I hope it's making people not sit at home and say, we've got it handled. But hey, since they're doing their part, I'm going to do mine too.
Good. There is hope. There's hope.
I'm gonna say I don't see how anybody can sit at home with with the things that are going on with Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and the SNAP programs and WIC and free lunch programs. I don't know how anybody can stay at home and not be concerned about the dismantling of the entire government structure in this agency. I don't, unless they just totally tune out. I'm, uh, I don't get it.
Willfully ignorant. Willfully is a big difference in not knowing, but knowing and still not wanting, expecting someone else to do it for you. Willful ignorance.
And I think it's much harder to plead the case of for me, it's harder to plead the case today. A guy said the exact something that I thought, but certainly when they said it, I was like, see, that's what we are. We're trying to fight to plead to turn this thing around, but you got Chuck Schumer, who's leading the charge to pass the continuing resolution. So like at what time do you realize you got to stop shooting yourself in the foot? You're working counterintuitive to what we're trying to do.
I think President Musk's deep pockets may have gotten to Schumer because Schumer has always said the right thing, even voted right a lot of times. But for him to let us down like this big, man, they just follow the money, I guess.
In the continuing resolution, if you look at it, it was all kinds of stuff added to that continuing resolution. It usually be, once the continuing resolution, they just, keep it where it was before, not adding any add-ons.
Yeah, it was bargaining chips. I mean, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Schumer let that get away.
He let it get away. At least hold it hostage till the last day like they do.
And the sad part about it, like you say, this was a gift. You're just giving something to Trump and Muskrat, who already getting $8 million a day from America.
Sold, not gave, give, sold. I believe he sold out, man.
What's that?
He had to, man. Schumer always has voted right and said the right things. Schumer would give pushback when no one else would, man. And for him to, yeah.
He caved.
He caved, man. But that money.
For the sake of argument, as much as I'm disappointed with him caving, I'm wondering if the consequences need to be felt in order to spark change and outrage. And so where I routinely find myself frustrated, particularly with the system, with being a Democrat at times, is that we always saving people from themselves. And so while I'm disappointed that he let this go through, I'm wondering if we just need to let them do what they do and so the country can see how they lead and stop trying to be the one to always save them from themselves. Yes. You want to lead, you got the House, you got the Senate, you got the presidency. This the bills you want to pass them. And let it be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I kind of wish at times. So let me rephrase. In a normal circumstance, I would agree with that. Because we have the special election, I feel like they probably needed to do a little bit of a dance, a little more, or not just give it to them right off the puff. At least.
I agree.
But in normal circumstances, I'm 100% in agreement with VJ. Let them feel the full weight of their vote and what all it entails. So when it starts hitting you, like, okay, now you get it, because there's still people, to me, there are still people that are sitting in their house struggling to pay their homeowners insurance, trying to figure out which grocery store has eggs for $10 or less, but failed to place blame, but won't place blame where it needs to lie, right?
Well said, Derek.
So
Well said.
it's for whatever reason, you have people who are not even living hand to mouth, like finger to finger to maybe to the cheek, right? And still like talking about Democrats destroyed Florida. Well, how is that? Because Democrats haven't been in control in 30 plus years. So at what point in time is it the Democrats' fault? Like, we can't afford our property insurance because you guys are focused on transgender people. What? Like, make that make sense. You know, like, I don't understand. Like, I saw this man today. We were canvassing. I'm not, by no means am I passing judgment. I am just saying that he was one of the folks that we went to his house, and the person who was supposed to be there wasn't the person that came to the door. And you could tell that they were in need and still talking about Democrats are communists
I see it every day.
Y'all should die. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even in your house, but I can tell just by that outward, the exterior, that you are in need.
I see it every day.
So, you know, it's kind of one of those, why is it that I'm the bad guy when we're trying to help you? You're, you know, you have a tarp on your house, right? Which many people do, but you have that tarp on your house because the insurance companies are not paying out because of Jimmy Petronas, right? Because the last storm that we had that required people to get tarps was what, 2020?
Mm-hmm.
So why still in 2025 you have a tarp? You know, put the blame at the foot where the source of the issue, but they still won't do it. And I think at times people who, well, in this community, sometimes people who vote Republican, a Republican representative could come and say, I'm taking every dime out of your account. I'm going to take your house. I'm going to take your car. And then you're going to give it to them, but then somehow it's the Democrats' fault.
Absolutely.
They took your dime, they took your car, your house, and every dime out of your account. And that's, for me, that's what I don't know how to counter. I don't know how to counter.
You just can't get past that in their minds, man. They are stuck back. You can't get past that, Derek. But I do see it a lot. I love to reference how Dr. King told his jailers when they told them their salaries that, hey man, y'all need to be out here boycotting and picketing with us. But people that think for some reason that they're better off or doing so much better, man. But for these folk to continue to point back to the Biden administration or even Obama, it's all you hear. Everything that's wrong with this country is either Biden or Obama. That's amazing to me, especially for the people that appears to need be Dems more than we need be Dems. Amazing.
I don't think that I think it's two-sided. First of all, you have a person in charge who told you that the airplanes that were flying crashed because of DI because of us. It was the Democrats that they did this. And I think it's done with the blame. Like, I guess I'm done with the blame thing. I don't really care. Democrats, Republicans, MPAs. What I know is that everybody is hurting in one way, shape, or form. But I also would say, and I'll probably take some heat for this, but I do believe that there are times when even Democrats will sit with the tarp on their roof. Now, they don't blame us, but they don't go out and vote, so you may as well blame us because you're not joining us. So if we
Come on.
can't fix our own, why are we here trying to judge some Republican or some MPA when we got our own darn Democrats that know darn better? But because they have the blue, I told you, they sit on their couch, it rains, they just move over, put the bucket over there, they're comfortable.
But
And
we're
I'm
not
still,
there yet.
BJ, I think you're kind of right. I hate to say it, but biblically, I think you're right in that maybe everybody just got to get to that bottom till when you finally, they say every knee shall bow, every tongue confess, like until it gets to whatever that point is, whether you're religious or you're not religious. Maybe it really is what has to happen. That doesn't mean we give up on our race April 1st. We can win that race, but we can't win it alone. And we definitely can't do it if we ourselves, not ourselves, us, because we're engaged. But if the rest of the Democrats don't get out, it doesn't matter how many Republicans and MPAs vote for gay. And it's vice versa. If we get out, then it doesn't matter unless we get some Republicans and MPAs to vote for gay. And it's not that they have to, like Jerry said, it's out there. You almost really want to say, I can't believe that you would ever not vote for her with the choice that you have, except for they did it 4 months ago with Kamala, and they were comfortable doing it. So
Yeah.
we're still living in the same space. We're still living in the same space. So what do we have to do? We have to take everybody's, because every single one of us have a different way that we deal with the people that we run into and that we talk to. And maybe if they hear it the way Jerry's saying it, the way Christina's saying it, the way Derek's saying it, the way Bill's saying it, the way I'm saying it, the way Vernon's saying it, BJ and Cheryl, one of those people will hit the right accord with that person to say, you know what? I think BJ, I need to go vote. And Dr. BJ is going to give them a script that says, go vote. That's your problem. To fix you, you need to vote. And the rest of us are going to be like, you need to vote because of this, whether it's because of
Uh-oh.
Yes.
She was making a great point. I know I was waiting on the freeze, and I didn't know if she was gonna take her out or not. Come back. We'd love to hear you.
Yeah, but she's right. It's going to take all of us trying to work together as much as possible. As I said earlier, even people that we might have never thought about working with before, it's going to take all of us because the cause is too big, for just any one group. It's going to take a whole. It's going to take a big lift to get us out of the situation we are in now. And only way we can do that is win back the House, at least have some checks on the House. But these people are talking about even defined judges now, and that's you're talking about a lawless country then when you're saying I'm not going to listen to the judges. As a matter of fact, we're going to have them impeached. They begin to attack those judges that disagree with them on cases. When you got, if you disagree with the judge, appeal it to the next court, to the next level. But what they're talking about doing now is destroying the whole, the little justice system we do have in the country. They're talking about destroying that. And that's totalitarian.
Speaking of those flights, Jerry.
Yeah.
Speaking of those flights.
Yeah.
Yeah. He completely ignored.
Yeah, on the immigration thing, the deportation. We're talking about, we already had this in process. Hey, the judge said to close it.
Yeah, and he pulled out some decision back 50 years ago.
Yeah.
It was 250?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, I thought it was, oh, my. Yep, keep flying. Yep, kept flying.
Was that the Alien, some Alien Act?
Yeah, so that's it. That's what it was.
And that supposedly supersedes the order of the judges now, I guess. So they go back 250 years to do that. That's unfortunate. you know. But Gio, did you finish what you was expressing?
No, but sometimes I think this is the second show that when I start talking, you notice they just cut me off and kick me out, but it's not y'all. So maybe it's just the powers that be. But actually, it's storming here. So,
Starling.
I think that I guess my concern is how do you make sure that the people that did not vote, Democrat, Republican, and PAs, just all of them, how do you make it so that they understand how critical April 1st is?
Well, if it was Republicans that did not vote, we may have that in our favor.
No, well, I guess I mean the more ones that are more leaning our way, that they get it, that they're on the fence or they see it. Like I see the damage. I am empathetic to the damage that it's causing, yet I didn't move because it wasn't touching me. Right. I just said, I'm not going to vote. There's many people we knock on their doors, Democrat, MPA, whatever, that are like, I'm just not going to vote. What do you mean you're not going to vote? They're not voting, and not voting is a vote for the other side. And in this case, not voting takes everything away from us, like us in general, not us, just Black people, not us, Hispanic people, not us, everybody, white, purple, Asian, doesn't matter, Mexican, everybody. It takes it away from everybody.
Right.
Like it will impact every individual on this earth when he's done. That is what Project 2020, unless you're elite, white, and Elon likes you, not Trump anymore. Elon has to like you.
Yeah, President Elon.
Yeah, President Elon has to like you. Trump can like you all you want, but if Elon doesn't like you, then you have to go.
Right.
And that just is not the majority of people, and definitely not in Congressional District 1.
Right.
On top of that, I don't know how this guy got in the cabinet without confirmation. I thought you had to go through a process, and that's through the Senate confirmation hearing, so that Elon was ready. Yeah, but then how did he get security clearance and all of that if he didn't go through the processes that is put in place? Even though they're
Elon
saying
checked his own box, Jerry.
Richest man in the world is now Jerry. Richest man in the world. He makes the rules. He makes the rules. Remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He making policy now.
Yeah. Well,
he's unelected, unofficial government agent, and which could easily be a spy into the government without security clearance and all of that. We don't know who this guy is.
Twitter was a disaster when he bought it out. He fired a big portion of the employees in, so that was a model for what was forthcoming. And then him paying $1 million to voters up north prior to the election, that has to be a campaign violation, but no repercussions. Money rules, man. He who has the gold. This guy doesn't need. Man, Trump showed us that there is no true justice system. George Floyd showed us that there is no true justice system. The Constitution is just a piece of paper for you and me and Vern and Derek to be controlled by and to be afraid of. But with 34 felony counts, man, it's all out here, man. It's all out here. In your face, here. What you gonna do?
Well, the no guardrails. There was invisible guard. It was just like our democracy, in my opinion, is just like that chain that you put around an elephant's leg.
Right.
And once he tug on it, he thought he couldn't get away, so he gave up.
When he was a baby,
this
anyway.
is what it is right now.
When he was a baby.
Like.
I think people are waking up in the country because I see, the Republicans are so afraid of their own constituency. They are telling them not to go to their town hall meetings. So there's a win in the air. Might be small, but it's out there.
It's out there.
Um, now, I hope, and it seems pretty favorable right now. But I know as well that we were thinking that people were going to use common sense in the last election in November, but they didn't. So it's unfortunate, but it is very serious what they are,
Well,
Elon
Jerry,
doing.
what do you think? Just like every great civilization in the entire world, okay, decline at some point.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe America, maybe it's on its decline now, okay? Maybe we done reached our peak. We're sliding down the other side. And at the end of the 4 years, we're going to be pretty well down there.
JD for another above. So will help the fight as far as not going back. But if these young folks don't wake up, man, and I'm talking about fast. We didn't get them in the last election, but if they don't wake up fast, man, Jill is so on point, man. There ain't gonna be no need to talk about no voting.
I think that we have the opportunity to still set this country somewhat straight. The opportunity is there. The thing about it, if people will take it and make it, what it ought to be, because as Vernon said, it was a trust factor. You know how you could go up and you might get people used to have peanuts and stuff sitting out by the road and say it was a dime. You throw your dime in there and get your peanuts, and they go about your business. Now, the trust factor is filled with nothing but lies and shenanigans, and so people are so skeptic now. Skeptic. I can't even say the word anymore.
That's how bad it is.
I just skipped it again.
Skeptic.
Skeptical.
But anyway, they don't trust anybody anymore. And so they don't know really who to trust because of so much misinformation that's coming at them each and every day. And that's why people are going to have to learn how to decipher what is some truth. But the system has no guardrail left anymore. And Trump already said that the Constitution was in his way. So
that's right.
Let you know that he want to get rid of that.
That's right.
And that's what dictators do. They rewrite everything the way to fit them, and it's unfortunate that it's headed that way. And I'm afraid that we don't push harder for the next, at least the next 2 years, it's gonna be rough to turn this train around.
Yes, I agree.
Well, I think to your point about young people being motivated to do something different, I don't want to speak for the young people. I don't consider myself young anymore. I'm 44. So I've been voting for probably like 25 years, Jill? You do the math. So a generation. But you have to think about what we've lost in a generation just since I've been of voting age. We've lost affirmative action. Mm-hmm. We've lost women's reproductive freedom. We've lost the Supreme Court for maybe another 2 generations at this point.
Yeah.
We've lost pretty much 80% of labor unions are gone. We ain't raised the minimum wage in 20 years. What else have we lost? I mean, our public schools are now being privatized. The Affordable Care Act, which was supposed to be a foundation, that's been 15 years. We haven't seen any improvements on the ACA. they called Obama the deporter in chief because he apparently was trying to do that in order to get some concessions from Republicans. They didn't give him anything. So we've had a lot of regression. This regression has been on, moving with light speed in the last, 60 days. But if you just look at the past generation of millennials, which I'm an older millennial, we've seen a lot of regression since we've become voters. And so, unfortunately, that has built cynicism within the electorate, not motivation. It's motivated me, but I'm not the majority. I'm very clear about that I am not the majority who is motivated by all that loss and our, all that backsliding in the gains that we achieved in they call what the young folk call, oh, you was born in the 1900s. I'm like, oh my Lord, that's what they say now. That's what these 25-year-olds say now. He was born in the 1900s. So, so I stay in trying to figure out how to motivate people with that sort of backsliding that has occurred. But it is historical. I feel like we've been here before. I feel like the country has defied courts in the past. So defying courts now is just reminiscent of when they defied Brown v. Board, and the National Guard had to come out in order to enforce that. So this is not the first time that government entities have defied court rulings, have defied Supreme Court. I mean, ancestral knowledge on how to deal with this. So I take a lot of solace and peace in knowing that we can get through this. We just gotta get those gears back oiled with some WD-40 and just get back to work, because we know what to do. Maybe not this group of people, but all of our, parents and grandparents have, in some form or fashion, have been in this fight. And so now it's just, we've just been passed the baton. Now, Mr. Jerry and Mr. Bill, I'm not y'all may not be in that baton pass. Y'all probably passing the baton to us. I don't know your ages. But based on what you all have saying, it sounds like y'all saying that the young folk need to step up.
Exactly. They should
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I try to do everything I can to make sure they do. Because the thing about it, I think those who are older and elders should make sure that somebody else is prepared for that spot, because it's not guaranteed to anybody. So we want to always be bringing somebody forward to make sure things happen, and stay there, and have a lasting effect, in other words. So, yeah, me and Bill is younger than myself, and me and Vernon running neck and neck.
63 proud, 6'3" in May anyway.
Good. The consumer. No, who was about to say?
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say the Consumer Protection Act is on the chopping block too. His buddies just can raise the interest rate like they want to. I mean, when you think about what Elizabeth Warren and them, how hard they worked to get that put in place and get that through into the hands of the president, and to protect the American people from people being, banks and credit card companies and big box companies from ripping people off with the high with the interest rate.
Yeah.
And now they are out to destroy us and destroy everything that was built up. But another thing that was done away with, Doc, is the Section 4 and 5 of the Voting Rights Act, which was the pre-clearance, which was so important to making sure that people know where their polling place was at. They couldn't change it like that unless they went through the Attorney General's office. The federal Attorney General's office under the civil rights component of it. It's a whole bunch of things that was protecting people's right to vote and made it easier for them to vote. Was making it easier, but it had never been that easy, because if it was, people, they would have a holiday set aside like some other countries in a country the size of ours, so people could go and vote and not have to worry about it. It should be at least 2 days of voting on the last day of voting, if people that can't get to the polls, to make sure everybody have a right to vote in this country. But that's not
Absolutely.
the way it is.
And gone is the freedom to protest. T.D. Taylor on our Facebook stream says the best thing we can do now is to figure out how to survive in this new country. Russia and Musk own Trump. Project 2025 will be in full effect soon. Voting won't be the same. Do we even know how many votes were not counted? Trump said it would be the last time we would have to vote. Believe him. Survival of the fittest is the new order. T.D. Taylor on a live Facebook stream.
Yeah. See, right. Trump did say that.
He said it.
He said, don't have to worry about voting anymore. And he said out loud that Elon, him and Elon them fixed this election.
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but I do find it, noteworthy, I would say, that the way voter information gets consolidated is through Starlink, and Starlink,
that's his thing.
Starlink is owned by Elon Musk.
Yes.
So I'm not saying, I'm just saying it's Snoke. That's,
he said
you. They're proposing, and this, I'm like, wow, y'all some dirty, dirty folks, right?
I tell you what, Derek.
They, with the new proposed amendment, right, to give Trump a third term, right, so they can call their constitutional convention so that they can pass and ratify hopefully would be the 28th Amendment. They would give, in that amendment, the language clearly expresses the ability to give Donald Trump or another president a third term, but Barack Obama cannot run a third time. Like, they expressly write that in the amendment language. Barack Obama, not even Joe Biden. Well, I guess they're kind of like, nah, we're good on Joe, so he's not going. But Barack Obama cannot seek a third term. Like, it's that explicit to me. So I'm like, wow,
that's a feared dude.
It's crazy, right?
That's a feared dude. When you that bad, man, you're feared.
Yeah.
28 states has already signed on to this country constitution convening. And it's very dangerous because there's no rules when you do that. They can set the rules any way they want to in a constitution convening. And so we have to be, make sure those states that have not joined, don't join those 28 states. It's no telling what they'll do, because they're talking about birthright and everything else already. They had to go to court to put that, some release on that. Because those 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment was written for Black people in America to protect us from being deported. So if they can get rid of that, they can deport it. I know. But Derek, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was going to say, before we go, we have 2 minutes left, and before you do your book reviews, Mr. McIntosh, I want to ask BJ. I know I think you still have a podcast and whatnot. For those who want to hear more from you, or how do they tune in? How can they find you? You're muted.
Yeah, you can go on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. It's called We Make Florida, and it's basically just some of the earlier episodes from season 1 are just me talking into a microphone by myself, and then season 2 is some interviews from candidates who've run in the past, and then actually I'm in the production phase of season 3. So you just find that We Make Florida.
Okay.
We Make Florida.
So certainly I wanted to share, make sure you know that you have an open invitation. I know I speak for the rest of the panelists. Feel free to join us whenever you're not fighting the good fight or doctoring. I'm not sure what the correct term, so I just say doctoring. On Sunday nights, feel free to join us. You have an open invitation. We thank you for joining us. And Mr. McIntosh, before we close out, do you want to do your book review? Or book suggestion?
This book is by Terry Ann Scott. It's called Lynching in Leisure. Lynching in Leisure. So I recommend this to anybody that want to definitely read that. Well, definitely read it if you get the book, because it is good. It's got a lot of information on all the lynching that took place in the country.
Okay. Well, certainly don't forget, the last day to request a vote by mail is coming up. It is going to be this. See the ballot. Call your Escambia Assembly. Voting starts this Saturday. The following Saturday. Do every trajectory of this nation. Thanks for joining us this week. Have a great weekend, and great week, and we will see you same time, same channel next week. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.